Hey, how you doing there again, folks? Me again, of course, Brandon Wenzel. Come back at you. Another offering. Off my sampler platter. Yes, indeed, folks. Sampler video series videos I've been doing for a little while now. Go over there and try out food and drink items. I eat stuff, I drink stuff, then, folks, I'm going to talk about the stuff. I'm going to let you know all that you need to know about hopefully delicious stuff that, time I'm doing this, folks, I'm not going to lie. Men to the longboats. But we'll get to that. Folks, it's super simple format. I'm going to go over there. I'm going to try out food and or drink items for you. Whilst I'm doing so, I'm yammering on about it for a bit. Whilst I'm doing all that, I'm inside my truck. And whilst I'm doing all that, I'm wearing a super cool shirt. Folks, when I wear super cool shirts, I always like to highlight the super cool shirt. What super cool shirt am I wearing for you today, though? Happens to be my Cold Army shirt, specifically for the band Cold. But who and or what are the band Cold? So Cold are a band that have actually been around for quite a long time. In fact, I believe they even got started maybe as early as sort of the late 80s. Although at that point they were under the title of Grundig. But eventually they kind of made their way through, sort of reached their peak in the late 90s. They had an association with the band Limp Bizkit. And, that's when Limp Bizkit was basically on top of the world. So, they went over there and helped kind of bring up some new acts. And Cold were one of those acts. They got them in touch with the right people. Their style has varied pretty significantly over the years, depending on what era you go with. I'm mostly associated with them during their sort of quasi-nu metal period that they had. Again, sort of late 90s, early 2000s. That's when I got into them. But they're genuinely one of my favorite bands. I've been fortunate enough to see them perform live on numerous occasions now. I should actually be going to see them again in a couple of months, which is super neat. I actually have videos of said performances on my channel, just in case maybe you want to check them out. If nothing else, I'd be more than happy to kind of point you in the right direction as far as their music goes, because I think they're an absolutely phenomenal band. But anyway, what am I trying for today, folks? What are we doing here? Why the longboats? Well, I didn't even know this existed. I found it completely at random, which is kind of surprising because usually things like this are, stuff that I tend to pick up on before it comes out. Happens to be, boom! But what is this? It is Monster Juice Viking berry flavor. Woo! Hence the longboats. It's got a story on it. The Vikings were valiant warriors who loved a good drink. They saved the very best of what they gathered, grew, bartered, and pillaged for their celebratory feasts. Inspired by wild Nordic berries and Scandinavian fruit comes Juice Monster Viking Berry. Like nothing you've ever tasted, Viking Berry blends real fruit juices and exotic flavors for a whole new taste experience. Loaded with our world-famous Monster Energy blend, blah, blah, blah. Okie doke. Sure, man. So, Viking stuff. Let's get a thing for the thing here real quick. Like that. We'll kind of ha. Let's give it a go. I like Monster Energy as a general rule of thumb. And I like their juice flavors, so I'm actually pretty excited for this. The Viking stuff, Vikings are pretty neat. Never got quite as into them as some people, but, no denying they're pretty badass historical figures, so. Smells berry-y. Well, I don't know if I'd say that. I don't know if I'd say I've never tasted anything like this. I've had a lot of berry energy drinks, and while this is definitely doing some things differently, I wouldn't exactly say it's miles away from some of the other berry energy drinks I've had. But no, there's more to it than that. Again, credit where it's due. I think Monster do a good job, and they're obviously putting their spin on, a berry energy drink. But the problem, of course, is that fundamentally, it's a berry energy drink. It's like one of the most common energy drink flavors. But let's get in with a second sip. I like it. I'll say that. And there's definitely something to it. For one thing, it's not just a one-note flavor, which a lot of generic berry energy drinks are. They're just kind of one hit of whatever the flavor is. There's definitely a few things going on. You get a little bit of a dryness from it. You also get sort of a tartness from it. So with the dryness and that, like, almost kind of a raspberry cranberry kind of vibe, that's sort of where my brain goes with it. It drinks really nice. It's a very smooth drink. It's fairly sweet. I wouldn't say it, like, it's a nice mixture of sweetness and tartness. You got those contrasting flavors going on, and then, of course, just the overlapping berry flavor. Yeah, I mean, there's a little something to it. There's some depth to the flavor, which I do appreciate. The more I drink it, the more I'm into this. Like, berry is not my favorite flavor of energy drink. It's fine, but again, I just find it often to be very generic. But in this instance, you know what? If you go over there, if you give it a little spin, you come up with your own blend. And then, yeah, I mean, obviously there's that sort of slightly underriding element of that Monster Energy blend, So, I mean, there's that too. But, yeah. It's definitely a blend of berry flavors. Like, I wouldn't go there and say, like, because again, I mentioned cranberry or raspberry. I wouldn't say that it's cranberry or raspberry flavored. It's definitely a blend of different flavors. I mean, they were talking about, like, Scandinavian berries and shit, or wild Nordic berries. Well, it says inspired by, so probably doesn't actually have anything to do with those. But I get, yeah, okay. You know what? I'm down with this. It's maybe not quite as. All right. 2 questions have to be asked. Would I get it again? Would I recommend it? Sure and sure. Now, here's the thing. It's not my favorite flavor that Monster's ever put out. If I had to sort of rank it amongst, and I'm just going off memory here, I'd probably put it sort of like upper middle. It's good. I like what it's doing. The flavors for what they are, like I said, I appreciate there's a little depth. I appreciate that they took that berry element and gave it a little added complexity, something that you could kind of enjoy beyond just, again, that berry flavor. There's a little bit of thinking room. You can enjoy it as you're tasting it. Why it doesn't rank higher for me is, again, like, because, yeah, I do appreciate that they went over there and found ways to make that berry flavor a little bit more interesting. It is fundamentally a berry-flavored energy drink, which I've probably had 200,000 of in my life. This is definitely one of the best I've ever had, but it's just not personally a flavor that, like, my brain immediately associates with as, like, being a favorite flavor of mine. But I do like what they did with it, and I could definitely see myself getting it again, just kind of on occasion. And if I'm recommending it, absolutely. I think that, well, it's not exactly, I don't think it's a revolutionary idea, and the Viking namesake and stuff. I maybe would have liked to have seen something a little bit more interesting with the Viking name associated with it, but I get the berry aspect. Again, the Nordic shit and all that. I don't know that it's one that you gotta run out and grab, but I do think that if you try it, you'll probably like it. Like, there's fundamentally nothing wrong with it. It's just how partial you are to, again, a berry-flavored energy drink. Because although it is doing some cool things, it hasn't exactly reinvented the wheel, So, 5 things before you get out of here. Have yourself a great rest of your day, spectacular rest of your week, monumental rest of your month, stupendous rest of your folks. Go over there themselves a truly Viking-tastic rest of your life. I mean, sure, they had a good run for a while there. I mean, eventually they were pretty much, pushed back and everything like that, but they did fine. Final 2 things. Number 1, try to bring some positivity into the world. It's not always possible. It is, however, always appreciated. But, well, you do if can't do it all the time. I know I can't do it all the time. Here's what you're going to do, folks. You're going to try not to be an asshole. Now, folks, not always the easiest thing in the world to not be an asshole. Trust me. I know it. I live it. I'm out there every day with you in it. Life can be stressful and frustrating, and just bullshit sometimes, folks. And when we find ourselves in situations where we have to deal with said bullshit, it's important we go over there whenever possible. Take a step back, try to mitigate the level of assholishness in our lives, hopefully do better for ourselves and for those around us. Very final thing, folks, do the thing. Whatever the thing is for you, that's what I want you to go out and do. Folks, what's your personal favorite historical figure, group, or time period? I actually really like history a lot. It was always one of my favorite subjects in school. And, something that I continued to have an interest in once I got out of school. For me, coming from the era that I came in, I was very interested in, like, Japanese history, especially during, like, the Sengoku period. For a while, I had I won't say encyclopedic, but I had a pretty nice depth of knowledge when it came to that, but I have long since lost a lot of that just through getting older and, having other interests and stuff. But let me know about you.